I was ideal.
Ideal recruit. You then go to boot camp, which is where the Army, the Marine Corps, by necessity, has to transform you from being a naive young man into a fighting soldier. Tell me about boot camp. You have a journal piece on that.
Yeah, I've been writing in this journal just lately. It's a current journal, and in an attempt to kind of recall some of the feelings and thinking before I do return to Vietnam, so I'm clear on where my old feelings have come from. And this is a short piece that I wrote a few days ago. It's titled Boot Camp. I've been thinking about what it means to be a hero. I thought of the feelings before joining the Marine Corps, and I had to acknowledge that I joined and went to Vietnam because I wanted to be a 19-year-old hero. I never articulated this to anyone because it is the hero's role not to acknowledge he is a hero. I had all the correct images in my head. A small-town boy, Little League, Boy Scouts, high school basketball team, poor grades in school, a fair dose of TV, girlfriend, anger towards my father, all fertile soil to plant the seeds of a young hero. This image of hero faded when I stepped on the yellow footprints outside the boot camp bus. I swallowed hard and forgot instantly all those well-crafted John Wayne daydreams. More correctly, I should say that the hero retreated into an enormous fear of reality.
Larry, walk me through the first 2 weeks of boot camp. Tell me what this was like for you.
Probably the way I'd like to do that is at least to describe a couple of images that are indelibly in my mind.
Of course.
And that is, I mentioned the yellow footprints in the first journal reading. And those yellow footprints were painted on the macadam in order for the men coming off the bus to stand in formation. Mm-hmm. Obviously, none of these men had ever stood in formation before, so this was a marker's where to stand.
Mm-hmm. Get in line.
Get in line. So I stepped off that bus, and the first thing that happened was this large man, stuck his face in my face and started screaming orders at me with the spittle coming out of his mouth into my face, barking these orders at me to do different things, to move, to stand someplace.
And how did that make you feel?
It scared me to death. I had no idea. It was like stepping out of this bus into another world, onto another planet, into something that didn't make any sense to me. I was totally scared and confused.
And what did you imagine he would do to you?
I had no idea. I thought that this man might step on me. Because the next image that comes to mind is when we were in a barracks. There was a man next to me, and this DI was doing the same thing. DI is for drill instructor. He was doing the same barking thing, this man. And he just passed out. The recruit passed out and fell on the floor like a log falling.
He was terrified. He just fainted.
Absolutely. Just boom, passed out.
Just a kid out.
And after he passed out, he started to vomit upon himself. And I was terrified that this guy had died. He had a heart attack. He was in distress. I wanted to go rescue him. I wanted to do something. The DI reaches over and kicks him, shakes him awake, stands him up on his feet, and tells him his breath stinks and makes him drink a bottle of shaving lotion. And my mind is just reeling from this event. I can't understand what the hell is this about. And it's that kind of beginning to scare and confuse that happened for the first several weeks of training.
And there must be a mind behind this. What are they attempting to do by humiliating this man in this way? You all in this way.
I think whatever we may have come into boot camp with in terms of how to deal with the emotions of anger, the emotions of fear, the emotions that you need to have under control in order to kill another person, to become a soldier, to rush the machine gun when given an instruction, and to suspend all of the natural inclinations that we have as human beings. You need to really get down in there deep and disassemble the mechanism, the human mechanism that we have developed outside.
Did they teach you how to hate?
Absolutely. I hated the drill instructors. They had a sequence of how the drill instructors worked. There were 3 of them. There was a young drill instructor, and his responsibility was to really push the men, to break their spirits. The second drill instructor was a little bit lighter. He was a little more compassionate, and he would break spirits, and at times he would be a little gentle. And then there was the older drill instructor, and his function was simply to be a nice guy. And
Dad.
So, kind of a dad. He says, I'm going to be your dad, your mom, your girlfriend. I'm going to be all of those wrapped into one.
Because there's nobody else who's going to watch out for you.
And he would talk about war stories, and he would begin to prepare us for the war. And then at some point during this training, he would turn into the devil.
He'd just turn on you.
Yeah. An experience that happened to me was when I left the safety off my rifle, he asked me to stick my thumb into the chamber, and the bolt was driven home, the firing pin pulled, and I walked around with that weapon hanging from my finger. And that broke me down.
Broke you down.
I was weeping.